Martha had always believed in love. Ever since she was a young girl, she dreamed of finding someone who would cherish her no matter the circumstances. Now, at 35, many people in her small town viewed her as past the prime age for romance. They whispered behind her back about being too old for the mail-order bride trend. But Martha's heart was filled with hope, and she refused to give up on her desire for companionship. Determined not to let anyone else's opinions hold her back, Martha decided to take matters into her own hands. She scoured ads in newspapers for potential matches, seeking out ranchers and farmers who needed a partner. Each letter she sent was filled with her true self, her love for animals, the joy she found in tending gardens, and her dream of building a life with someone who saw beyond mere appearances. Despite the skepticism she faced from friends and family, Martha committed to one particular man named Jasper. He wrote back quickly and charmingly, filling his letters with sweet words that made Martha's heart flutter. They exchanged letters for months, creating a connection that felt real and promising. So, when Jasper proposed they meet for their wedding in a nearby town, Martha felt a rush of excitement and apprehension all at once. On the day of her wedding, Martha dressed in a simple yet elegant gown that flowed with the winter wind. She took a deep breath as she stepped outside, ready to face the world. The snow blanketed everything around her like a soft white quilt, muffling the sounds of nature and adding a sense of magic to the day. However, as she traveled to the church, doubts began to creep into her mind. What if he changed his mind? What if he noticed her age as others did? Still, she pushed those worries aside. Love was worth fighting for. As she arrived at the church, Martha's heart raced with both excitement and fear. But what happened next shattered her dreams. She was met with cold rejection instead of warm vows. Jasper stood at the altar looking anywhere but at her as whispers echoed in the cold air. He deemed her too old for him after all. In a fit of embarrassment and anger, he abandoned Martha, leaving her alone in a snowdrift before the church door. A wave of pain coursed through Martha as tears formed in her eyes. How could this happen? She felt crushed by rejection and shame, frozen not just by the snow around her but by heartbreak. Just as despair threatened to engulf her completely, something unexpected happened. Eli Kane appeared. Eli was a widowed rancher with kind eyes filled with understanding. He had seen Martha sitting there, shivering and forsaken outside the church, and his heart went out to her instantly. Rather than turn away or join in with others who might mock her situation, Eli rushed over to offer warmth and shelter. "Come on, let's get you inside," he said gently, his voice soothing against the biting cold. Eli's presence brought Martha an unexpected feeling of comfort. It reminded her that maybe there was still hope after all. As he helped Martha rise from the snowdrift, she looked at him closely for the first time. His weathered face held wisdom beyond years, and despite their rocky start that day, there was something about him that made her feel safe, something she desperately needed at that moment. Thus began an unlikely but beautiful friendship between two people who thought they had lost everything to life's cruel twists, a widowed rancher and a woman deemed past her prime, both searching for hope amidst the turmoil of their hearts. Martha's heart raced with a mix of excitement and nerves as she set out on her journey to the church. The snow crunched beneath her boots as she stepped outside, the crisp winter air filling her lungs. Dressed in her simple but beautiful wedding gown, she felt both beautiful and vulnerable, like a flower daring to bloom in the frost. The landscape around her was breathtaking. Vast fields of white stretched as far as she could see, glistening under the pale winter sun. Silver trees lined the path, their branches heavy with snow, creating a fairy tale setting that filled her with hope. Each step she took felt significant, as if she were making her way toward a dream that had been waiting for her all along. However, with each mile traveled, doubts began to creep into her mind. What would Jasper think when he saw her? Would he be happy? Would he truly accept her for who she was? Despite the whispers of too old that lingered in her ears like shadows, Martha pushed those thoughts aside, determined to focus on the love she believed was waiting for her. As she walked, memories of the letters exchanged between them flooded her thoughts. Jasper's words had been sweet and charming, painting a picture of a future filled with laughter and companionship. She had imagined sharing quiet evenings together under a blanket of stars and finding comfort in each other's arms after long days on the ranch. These dreams had fueled her resolve to travel this path, to believe in love's magic. Yet, the cold wind howled around her, reminding Martha of the harsh reality of winter. With every gust, it seemed to whisper doubts about what lay ahead. What if he changes his mind? She questioned silently. What if I'm not enough? But with each question came an equally powerful answer deep within. Love was worth fighting for. As she continued on her journey, Martha found herself lost in thought, picturing the church where they were to be wed. A quaint building with wooden doors and stained glass windows stood proudly against the snow-covered ground. She could almost hear the soft music playing inside and see friends gather to celebrate this new chapter in her life. But just as quickly as those positive images filled her mind, fears emerged again. What if no one else believed in her happiness? What if they only saw an aging woman seeking love rather than a brave soul with hopes and dreams? For a moment, Martha slowed her pace, feeling overwhelmed by these thoughts. Suddenly, she caught sight of a small group of children playing in the snow nearby. Their laughter rang out like music against the stillness of winter. Watching them throw snowballs and build snowmen made Martha smile despite herself. In their innocence and joy, they seemed to embody the spirit of hope she clung to so tightly. With renewed determination, Martha picked up her pace, feeling a spark ignite within her heart once more. She remembered why she had embarked on this journey, because love was worth pursuing regardless of age or judgment from others. Finally arriving at the edge of the churchyard, Martha gazed up at its welcoming facade. The wooden door loomed before her like an open invitation to a new beginning. Her heart swelled with anticipation as she took a deep breath and stepped forward into this momentous occasion. Yet little did Martha know that this moment, a celebration of love, would soon take an unexpected turn that would change everything she thought she knew about herself and what true companionship meant. As fate would have it, not all journeys lead where one expects, sometimes they lead to places more profound than we ever imagined possible. As Martha approached the church, her heart swelled with anticipation and hope. The wooden doors stood tall before her, a gateway to the love she had dreamed of for so long. She could almost hear the soft music playing inside and see the friendly faces of guests waiting to celebrate her union with Jasper. But as she stepped closer, an unexpected chill ran through her, not from the winter air, but from a sudden sense of foreboding that settled deep in her stomach. The moment she crossed the threshold, everything seemed to shift. Jasper was already at the altar, but instead of joy lighting up his face, confusion clouded his expression. Martha's heart sank as she noticed that he avoided her gaze, eyes darting away as if searching for something or someone else. Her heart raced in anticipation of their vows, but it quickly turned into dread as whispers filled the air around them. "Look at her," someone murmured from the back pews. "Too old for a love like this." The words stung like sharp icicles piercing through flesh and bone. Martha's breath hitched in her throat as she felt those judgmental eyes fixate on her. She had fought against such opinions all her life, yet here they were, alive and cruel on what should have been one of the happiest days of her life. Desperation clawed at her chest when Jasper finally spoke. "I can't do this," he said loudly enough for everyone to hear, his voice trembling yet resolute. A cold wave washed over Martha as though icy fingers gripped her heart. "What do you mean?" she managed to reply, although she already feared she knew his answer. "I thought I could, but well," he hesitated before continuing, "you're just too old for me." The words struck Martha like a lightning bolt. The cold reality crashed down upon her like an avalanche. In that instant, everything shattered, the dreams she had held close were gone. Betrayal seeped into every corner of her heart as Jasper turned away from her completely. Feeling utterly alone and humiliated, Martha stumbled outside into the freezing cold air. The snow swirled around her like a mocking whirlwind as tears streamed down her cheeks. She collapsed into a snowdrift just outside the church door, a stark contrast to all that had been promised. This wasn't how it was supposed to be. This wasn't love or partnership, but abandonment in its cruelest form. She sat there amidst the purity of white snow while feeling anything but pure inside. Heartbroken and lost. Martha wished desperately for warmth and comfort, yet found only bitter cold surrounding her. Thoughts raced through her mind. A chaotic storm mirroring the blizzard around her. How could he do this? Did he ever really care? Was being too old truly why he rejected her? As sorrow washed over Martha like heavy waves crashing on a shore, despair threatened to drown out any flicker of hope remaining within her. She felt broken beyond repair, crushed not only by rejection but by shame, not just for herself but for daring to believe in love against all odds. In that moment of darkness and vulnerability, something shifted within Martha's heart. Just when it seemed that all hope was lost, she heard footsteps crunching through the snow behind her, heavy yet gentle steps that began to pull at the corners of despair wrapping around her soul. It was Eli Kane, a widowed rancher whose kind eyes saw beyond appearances and societal expectations. He approached slowly, there was no judgment in his gaze, only understanding and compassion radiating warmth against the chill surrounding them both. "Let's get you inside," Eli said softly as he reached out his hand toward Martha without hesitation or doubt. And just like that, a glimmer of light pierced through the darkness enveloping Martha's heart, a lifeline thrown into turbulent waters where she felt so painfully lost moments ago. It was an unexpected kindness that reminded her there might still be hope waiting just beyond this painful chapter of rejection and heartbreak. As Martha sat alone in the snowdrift, her heart heavy with despair, a figure began to approach through the swirling flakes. It was Eli Kane, a widowed rancher known in the community for his kind soul and gentle nature. Eli was a man of few words but great deeds, often seen helping neighbors with their farms and tending to animals in need. He possessed a rugged charm that offered warmth amidst the unforgiving cold of winter, much like the safe haven he had created around his ranch. With his broad shoulders wrapped in a well-worn coat and a weathered hat pulled low to shield him from the biting wind, Eli cut an imposing figure against the backdrop of white. Yet it was not his stature but the kindness in his deep-set eyes that set him apart. Those eyes had seen much loss. His wife had passed away years before, but rather than hardening him, they held a softness that hinted at an understanding of suffering. Eli noticed Martha long before he reached her, his heart aching as he saw her sitting vulnerably in the snow. He knew well what it felt like to experience heartbreak. It still lingered in his own life like an echo of lost dreams. As he approached, he felt an overwhelming sense of protectiveness for this woman who had just been cast aside so cruelly. When he finally reached her side, he knelt down, careful not to crowd her but close enough to offer comfort. "Martha," he said gently, concern etched across his features. "What happened?" His voice was like a warm blanket enveloping her in that desolate moment. For a few seconds, Martha could only stare at him through her tears, his presence stirring something within her that she thought had gone cold forever. I was left out here," she stammered, her voice trembling as she spoke. "Jasper, he said I was too old." The floodgates opened again as her words tumbled out amidst sobs, a mix of anger and hurt pouring forth. Eli listened intently without interrupting, allowing her to express the pain that weighed heavily on her heart. His calm demeanor provided a stark contrast to the storm raging within her. When she fell silent, he reached out and placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder, a simple yet profound gesture that communicated more than words ever could. "You're not too old for love," Eli said softly, his tone earnest and sincere. "There's wisdom in every crease we gather on our faces, each one tells a story." As he spoke these words, he focused on the frosting in her hair, the silver strands flowing like delicate threads, and recognized that every mark reflected strength rather than failure. Feeling comforted by his presence, Martha slowly began to breathe again. In Eli's eyes, she encountered something rare, acceptance without judgment. It reassured her that she still held value despite what Jasper had said. "Let's get you inside," Eli proposed gently as he helped lift Martha from the snowdrift with ease. His strength surprised her yet also gave rise to something unexpected. Hope flickered dimly within her heart once more. Eli guided Martha back toward his ranch as snowflakes danced around them like tiny fairies celebrating a newfound friendship between two wounded souls. Each step felt lighter than before. There was something soothing about being cared for by someone who saw beyond age or societal expectations. Before long, they arrived at Eli's cozy cabin where warmth awaited them both from the crackling fire inside and from Eli's unwavering kindness. Here was where healing could begin. Here was where Martha might reclaim pieces of herself that had been cast aside only moments ago. In this unexpected refuge provided by Eli Kane, a man whose gentle nature made him more than just a rancher, Martha sensed that perhaps fate had intervened not just to break her but also to lead her toward new beginnings and brighter days ahead. Eli led Martha away from the bitter cold and the heartbreaking scene outside the church, guiding her through the snowy path toward his ranch. With every step, he noticed how she shivered, not just from the chill but also from the emotional turmoil that clung to her like frost on a windowpane. Eli felt a deep urge to protect and support her, to offer a sanctuary where she could begin to heal. As they approached his cozy cabin, Martha felt a mix of apprehension and relief wash over her. The sight of smoke curling from the chimney and the warm glow emanating from within promised comfort, something she desperately needed after so much heartache. Eli opened the door, and a wave of warmth enveloped them both, contrasting sharply with the frigid air they had left behind. "Come in, let's get you warmed up," Eli urged gently as he ushered her inside. The rustic cabin was adorned with simple wooden furniture and homely touches. A woven rug lay on the floor, while dried herbs hung from the ceiling, filling the air with their earthy scent. A fire crackled in the stone hearth, casting flickering light that danced upon their faces. Martha's heart ached as she absorbed her new surroundings. It was a far cry from the bright expectations she had held for her wedding day, but offered a different kind of warmth, a sense of safety that allowed her to breathe again. Eli moved around the room methodically. He stoked the fire while assuring her there was no rush to talk about what had happened. As he prepared a pot of hot tea, she watched him closely, mesmerized by his quiet confidence and genuine care. Each movement he made was deliberate and kind, filling the kettle with water before placing it on the stove, arranging mugs on the counter with precision. She sensed this man possessed a depth that extended far beyond surface appearances. Once Eli served them both steaming cups of tea, they settled into two sturdy chairs near the fire. The heat radiated soothingly around them as Martha took her first sip and let its warmth slide down her throat. It brought comfort as much as its taste reminded her of home, a home she had hoped to build alongside Jasper but now felt painfully distant. "You don't have to share anything until you're ready," Eli said softly, breaking their silence as he gauged her expressions carefully. "But if you feel like talking about it, I'm here to listen." His voice held an earnest quality that made Martha realize he truly meant every word. She hesitated at first but then found herself drawn to his gentle demeanor. The way he waited patiently instead of pressing for answers illuminated something within her that wanted to speak openly for once without fear of rejection or mockery. Taking a deep breath, she began sharing bits of her story, the dreams she had nurtured despite others deeming her too old for love, her excitement leading up to today, and now this unexpected heartbreak lurking heavily on her heart. With each word shared between them, Martha felt weight lift from her shoulders as if Eli was helping pull apart threads of sorrow woven tightly around her soul. He listened attentively, eyes focused on hers and nodding gently at moments when understanding passed unspoken between them. Eli shared stories too, memories of his late wife who had been a vivacious spirit full of laughter and life, but always reminding him that love transcends time and age. His willingness to open up created an atmosphere of trust between them. It became clear they were both survivors navigating broken pieces. As their conversation unfolded like warm sunshine breaking through gray clouds outside, Martha realized she wasn't alone anymore. Here was someone who offered not only shelter from physical cold, but also a refuge for fragile hearts struggling against despair's grasp. In that intimate space filled with compassion and empathy, something profound began stirring within Martha's chest. Not just hope but possibility too. An understanding that perhaps this encounter with Eli might lead somewhere unexpected, yet beautiful along life's winding road ahead. As the days turned into weeks, Martha found herself settling into Eli's cabin and the rhythm of ranch life. The warmth of the fire and the aroma of home-cooked meals began to replace the chill of her heartbreak. Eli was not only a kind host but also a steadfast companion, and their friendship blossomed in ways neither of them expected. Eli had a way of making even the simplest tasks enjoyable. One afternoon, he invited Martha to help him in the barn, showing her how to care for the animals. As they worked side by side, she learned about his life on the ranch, how he had built it from the ground up, pouring his heart into every inch of land and every creature that called it home. While they tended to the horses, Eli shared stories about his late wife, who had shared the same passion for ranching. He spoke of her laughter echoing in the barn and how they had once spent hours grooming horses on sunny afternoons. Martha listened intently, not just hearing his words but feeling the depth of love and loss that accompanied them. Eli's vulnerability opened a door for Martha to share her own dreams and fears. "I always wanted a place like this," Martha confessed one evening as they sat by the fire after a long day of work. "I dreamed of raising animals and having a garden where I could grow my own food. After everything that happened with Jasper, I thought those dreams were lost forever." Eli nodded, understanding reflected in his eyes. "It's never too late to dream again," he encouraged gently. "Every day is a new chance to build something beautiful." Those words resonated deeply within Martha, igniting a spark of hope that had been dimmed for so long. She began to see Eli not just as a friend, but as someone with whom she could share her aspirations without fear of judgment. In turn, Eli respected her resilience and admired her spirit. Their bond grew stronger as they faced challenges together, whether it was mending fences after a storm or preparing for the spring planting season. One chilly morning, while they were out in the fields, Martha noticed Eli struggling with a heavy load of hay bales. Without hesitation, she rushed over to lend a hand. "Let me help you with that," she exclaimed, surprising both him and herself with her newfound energy and determination. "Are you sure?" Eli asked, glancing at her with a mix of concern and admiration. "Absolutely. I may not have done this before, but I want to learn," she replied with a grin. As they worked together, laughter filled the air, mixing with the sounds of nature around them. They exchanged playful banter about who could stack the bales higher and faster, creating an atmosphere rich with camaraderie. Each task became an opportunity to learn more about each other, their values, their pasts, and their hopes for the future. One evening, as they sat on the porch watching the sunset paint the sky in brilliant hues of orange and purple, Martha turned to Eli with gratitude in her heart. "Thank you for everything," she said earnestly. "You've helped me find joy again when I thought it was lost." Eli looked at her thoughtfully, his expression softening. "And you've reminded me how important it is to keep living, even when it feels like life has taken everything away." The connection between them deepened as they continued to share stories over warm meals and evenings by the fire. They discovered common interests like a love for animals and a shared appreciation for nature that further strengthened their friendship. As spring approached, Martha felt a shift within her. She was no longer just a woman abandoned at the altar but someone who had found refuge in unexpected friendship and companionship. With each passing day alongside Eli, she realized that perhaps love was not only about romance but also about understanding, support, and mutual respect. In this growing friendship, Martha found healing, a journey toward reclaiming her sense of self amid life's challenges, and with Eli by her side, she began to feel that new beginnings were not just possible, they were right within reach. As she watched Eli with admiration as he guided the horses skillfully, his hands steady on the reins. He seemed at ease in his element, and Martha respected his deep connection to the land that had been both a refuge and a source of heartbreak. "Are you ready?" Eli asked over his shoulder, glancing back at her with a smile that lit up his face. Martha nodded eagerly, gripping the handles of the plow beside him. "Let's do this," she replied, excitement bubbling within her. They began their work side by side, each taking turns guiding the horses while sharing stories about their lives and dreams. As they navigated the rows of freshly turned soil, Martha could feel a hidden joy arising. This was not just work, it was a partnership forged in trust and respect. Each furrow carved into the earth mirrored their blossoming friendship, a beautiful testament to what could be achieved when they pooled their efforts together. In those moments spent plowing fields under an expanse of blue sky dotted with puffy white clouds, laughter flowed easily between them. They would tease one another about whose lines were straighter or who could keep up with the relentless pace of work. With every shared laugh, walls built around their hearts began to crumble a little more. One afternoon, as sunlight poured down warmly upon them, Martha paused to wipe her brow and looked over at Eli, who was momentarily lost in thought. "What are you thinking about?" she asked curiously. "I'm thinking about how different this year feels," he replied thoughtfully. "Just last spring, I was alone on this ranch, going through motions without much joy." His gaze turned serious for a moment. "Now I have someone to share these moments with." Realizing how far they had come in each other's company filled Martha with gratitude. "I feel lucky too," she admitted softly. "You've given me hope again when I thought I had lost everything." The spring sun continued its ascent in the sky as they resumed their work, driving away any lingering shadows from their pasts with every push forward on the plow. Days turned into weeks, and soon they began planting seeds for crops: potatoes, corn, and beans, each one representing a shared dream bursting forth into possibilities. The act of planting became almost ritualistic. Kneeling together in the warm earth with fingers entwined amongst seeds imbued them each with purpose, the promise of future harvests symbolizing growth not just on the farm but also within themselves. As they nurtured those tiny seeds throughout the weeks ahead, watering them carefully under skies brightened by sunshine, Martha found herself reflecting not only on their labor but also on how these acts mirrored life itself. Together they faced uncertainty yet cultivated beauty from hardship. Working hard on the ranch instilled in both Eli and Martha a sense of partnership that transcended mere friendship. It connected them deeply as they shared laughter amidst laborious tasks and learned from each other's strengths along their journey toward healing. With flowers blooming around them and sprouts bursting forth from freshly tended soil, it became clear what once felt like barren landscapes were now teeming with life, their intertwined hearts renewing in tandem just like nature itself. This season promised not only bountiful crops but also love blossoming anew amidst all things sprouting back to life after long dormancy, each day pulling them closer together as if fate itself wove hope into every stitch of existence around them. As the days grew warmer and the crops began to sprout, the bond between Martha and Eli deepened in ways neither of them had anticipated. Their laughter echoed through the fields, brightening even the hardest days of labor. There was something magical about working side by side, their hands dirty from the soil but their hearts full of joy. Each shared experience became a thread weaving them closer together, and soon those threads began to form a tapestry of affection and understanding. One sunny afternoon, as they took a break from planting, Martha leaned back against a hay bale, watching Eli as he wiped sweat from his brow. The sun glinted off his hair, and for a moment she felt a flutter in her heart, a realization that this man was becoming more than just a friend. He caught her gaze and grinned, an easy smile that made her feel warm inside. "You look like you could use some rest," he teased, plopping down beside her. "You've been working hard." "Hard work builds character," she replied playfully, nudging him with her elbow. "I think it's also building muscles," he laughed, flexing his arms exaggeratedly. "Maybe I should start calling you Martha the Strong." They both chuckled, appreciating the lightness of the moment amidst their daily challenges. It was these playful exchanges that drew them closer together. They found comfort in laughter even when the world outside felt harsh. As weeks passed, they faced their share of challenges on the ranch, storms that threatened to damage their budding crops and days filled with unexpected setbacks. Yet, through it all, they leaned on one another, their understanding growing deeper with every obstacle. One evening, after a particularly tough day when rain had flooded part of their field, Martha sat on the porch steps feeling defeated. "I just don't know if we can recover from this," she admitted quietly, her shoulders slumping under the weight of disappointment. Eli joined her, sitting close enough to offer warmth without crowding her space. "We can figure it out together," he said gently. "This isn't the end. It's just a bump in the road." In that moment, his steadfast presence reassured her. She met his gaze and saw not just empathy but a determination that mirrored her own. Together they brainstormed solutions for salvaging what remained of their crops while sharing stories about their pasts, stories filled with trials but also resilience. "Did I ever tell you about the time I tried to bake bread?" Eli said with a mischievous twinkle in his eye. "Let's just say it turned into a disaster that even the chickens wouldn't eat." Martha burst into laughter at the mental image of him covered in flour and chasing after runaway dough. "I can only imagine," she said between giggles. "You might be better off sticking to plowing and planting." With each shared story and laughter that followed, a new kind of love began to blossom between them, one rooted in friendship and respect that felt both safe and exhilarating. They were two souls forging ahead together against life's uncertainties. One starry night as they finished up chores, Martha looked up at the sky filled with twinkling stars that seemed closer than ever. "It feels like anything is possible," she remarked softly. Eli turned to her, and in the glow of moonlight, something shifted between them. "That's because it is," he replied in a low voice, his eyes reflecting her own hopes and dreams. With that simple declaration hung in the air, Martha felt something deep within her heart stir, a realization that she was not just healing but discovering love anew in unexpected places. They continued to work hard on the ranch side by side, each day drawing them closer together until their friendship blossomed into something deeper. An unspoken promise of love nurtured through shared experiences amidst both laughter and hardship. With each passing moment spent together, they learned that sometimes love finds you when you least expect it, growing silently like seeds beneath the soil until it bursts forth into beautiful bloom against all odds. As Martha and Eli's relationship blossomed, their connection began to feel palpable in the small community surrounding the ranch. While they had initially faced skepticism due to Martha's age and Eli's status as a widower, their genuine bond slowly started to shift the perspectives of those around them. The townsfolk who had whispered about Martha being too old for love began to take notice of the couple's undeniable chemistry and mutual respect. It started with the simple act of attending the local farmers' market together. As they strolled hand in hand through stalls filled with fresh produce and homemade goods, Martha felt a sense of belonging she had never experienced before. They laughed together while tasting homemade jams and discussing which vegetables were best for planting. For the first time since arriving in town, Martha felt proud to be seen with Eli, her heart swelling with a mix of joy and defiance against the judgmental whispers that had once followed her. At first, some people exchanged sidelong glances or murmured doubts, but these whispers were met with the easy laughter and camaraderie that Martha and Eli shared. Their easy conversation and joyful interactions drew others in, allowing them to see what was unfolding. Slowly, the walls built by skepticism began to crumble as the community witnessed a love rooted in genuine friendship and respect. Eli took every opportunity to support Martha as she integrated herself into the community. He encouraged her to participate in local gatherings, from potlucks to barn dances. Each event provided a platform for their relationship to be seen and understood. With every shared meal or dance, Martha found herself becoming a part of something larger, an evolving narrative that challenged the norms about age and love. One sunny afternoon, during a community barbecue organized by the church, Martha stood beside Eli as they served food to their neighbors. The laughter and chatter surrounding them created an atmosphere thick with warmth, but it was Eli's reassuring presence that made Martha feel truly at home. When someone from the crowd asked how they met, Eli smiled widely and recounted their story, the unexpected bond formed after a broken engagement and how they found hope together on the ranch. As he spoke, Martha felt a flush of pride wash over her. Here was a man who embraced her past as part of their shared journey. The more he shared, the more she realized that their relationship was not just about healing but about finding strength together, a message that resonated deeply within the community. Over time, acceptance grew like wildflowers in a field, vibrant and unexpected. Neighbors began to offer support by helping with chores on the ranch or sharing tips about farming practices. Martha felt embraced not just by Eli but by an entire community that had once viewed her with doubt. One evening, as they sat on the porch watching the sun set behind the rolling hills, Martha expressed her gratitude to Eli. "You've helped me find a place here," she said softly, glancing over at him. "I never thought I would feel accepted again." Eli took her hand and squeezed it gently. "It's because you're authentic, Martha. Your spirit shines brightly and people can't help but see that." Their bond became a symbol of resilience for others who had faced rejection or heartbreak, showing that love wasn't confined by age or circumstance but could flourish in unexpected places. The townsfolk began to seek advice from both of them about life on the ranch, eager to learn from their experiences. With every story shared over dinner tables or at market stalls, they helped chip away at preconceived notions about what love should look like. As summer rolled on, Martha and Eli's relationship continued to grow, an enduring testament to love's ability to break through barriers and transform lives. They became living proof that happiness could bloom even after heartache, challenging societal views while nurturing their own beautiful partnership. In the midst of all this acceptance, it became clear that love was not solely about romantic gestures but also about community support, shared values, and understanding, a tapestry woven together through laughter, challenges, and unwavering companionship. With each passing day, Martha felt her heart open further to the possibilities of life with Eli while embracing the warmth of newfound friendships that surrounded them both. As the vibrant colors of spring filled the landscape around them, Martha and Eli stood together in the midst of their flourishing ranch. The fields, once bare and cold during winter, now burst with life, green sprouts peeking through the soil, flowers blooming in cheerful hues, and the air rich with the sweet sense of earth and growth. It was a beautiful reminder of how far they had come together, not just as partners in farming but as partners in life. One serene evening, with the sun hanging low in the sky, casting a golden glow over the horizon, Eli took Martha by the hand and led her to their favorite spot, a small rise overlooking their land. They often came here to watch the sunset, sharing dreams and laughter as the world around them transformed into a canvas painted with oranges and purples. "Martha," Eli began, his voice steady but filled with emotion. He turned to face her fully, his eyes reflecting the warmth of the setting sun. "I've been thinking a lot about what we've built here together. This friendship, this partnership, this life." Martha's heart raced as she met his gaze, sensing that this was more than just another moment of reflection. She felt a flutter of anticipation. She had always understood there was something special between them, but hearing him speak so earnestly brought it to the forefront. "I never thought I would find someone like you again," he continued, his expression turning serious. "After losing my wife, I wasn't sure if I could ever open my heart to someone else. But you've shown me that love has no expiration date." Martha felt tears prick at her eyes, not from sadness but from overwhelming joy and gratitude. "Eli," she started but was quickly silenced by his gentle finger against her lips. "Let me finish," he said softly. "You've brought light back into my life when I thought it was gone forever. You are not just my partner on this ranch, you are my partner in every way that matters. I love you, Martha." The words hung in the air between them like a melody that echoed through their hearts. In that moment, every fear she had carried about being too old for love faded away. Eli's declaration affirmed everything she had felt, a connection that transcended age and societal expectations. "I love you too," she finally managed to say, her voice barely above a whisper but filled with sincerity. Her heart swelled with happiness as she stepped closer to him, their hands locked together as if promising never to let go. In that embrace, they both understood that they were not just two individuals finding solace in one another, they were two souls intertwining their lives amidst laughter, challenges, and shared dreams. The warmth radiating from him felt like home, a place where acceptance and affection flourished beyond the walls of judgment and doubt. As they stood together watching the sun dip below the horizon, casting brilliant colors across the sky and illuminating their surroundings with a soft glow, Martha realized that they were indeed creating new beginnings. Their love story was one of resilience and hope, a testament to what could bloom even after deep-rooted pain. From that day forward, their relationship became a beacon for others in the community who had struggled with similar fears or heartbreaks. With Eli by her side, Martha no longer felt too old or inadequate. Instead, she embraced her journey, one where love blossomed unexpectedly, proving that true connections could flourish at any age. As spring continued its dance across the land, Eli and Martha worked side by side under the sun, plowing fields and planting seeds not just in soil but also in their hearts. Together they celebrated each small triumph while nurturing a love that promised to grow deeper with each passing day. In Eli's arms and beneath the expansive sky filled with possibilities, Martha found not only love but also a renewed sense of self, a reminder that sometimes life's most beautiful chapters begin when we allow ourselves to believe in second chances.